I'll never forget that day. Not because it was shocking, not because it was new, but because it was painfully familiar. It was one of those moments that reminded me, once again, that no matter how much success I had achieved, no matter how much respect I had earned in my career, I was still just another black man in the eyes of certain people. It was a long day at the office, full of meetings and reports, but I was finally heading home. My car, a black Mercedes, moved smoothly through the streets as I drove through a quiet part of town. The sun was setting, painting the sky in soft shades of orange and pink. It should have been a peaceful drive. But then, I saw the flashing red and blue lights in my rearview mirror. I sighed deeply, already knowing where this was going. I hadn't been speeding. I hadn't broken any traffic laws. There was no valid reason for me to be pulled over. But I had noticed the police cruiser behind me for a few blocks, following closely. I had seen the way he lingered when he first spotted my car, as if debating whether or not to make a move. And now, here we were. I signaled and pulled over to the side of the road. My hands remained on the wheel as I took a deep breath. I had been in this situation before. Every black man I knew had been. There was a script to follow, an unspoken rulebook for survival. Keep your hands visible. No sudden movements. Stay calm. Speak clearly. The officer stepped out of his car, walking toward mine with slow, heavy steps. He was a stocky white man, probably in his late 40s, with a hard expression on his face. The way he carried himself, the way he looked at me, it was clear he had already made up his mind about me. I rolled down the window, keeping my face neutral. "Good evening, officer. Is there a problem?" He didn't answer my question. He didn't even acknowledge it. "License and registration," he said flatly. No greeting, no explanation, just orders. I kept my voice even. "May I ask why I'm being stopped?" His jaw tightened, as if my simple question was a challenge. License and registration. There it was, that tone, that quiet hostility that black men knew all too well. I knew better than to argue. I moved slowly, making sure my hands were visible at all times. I retrieved my wallet and handed him my ID and registration. He snatched them from my hand, his eyes scanning my ID. For a brief second, I saw a flicker of confusion cross his face, but it was gone just as quickly. "Step out of the vehicle." I clenched my teeth. "Why?" "Step out." I exhaled slowly. I wanted to argue, to demand an explanation, but I knew how that would go. So I did as I was told. The moment I was out of the car, he grabbed my wrist and turned me around, pressing me roughly against the vehicle. My cheek was inches from the window, my heartbeat steady but hard. "Spread your legs," he ordered. I took a deep breath, feeling anger simmer beneath my skin. "Officer, what exactly is this about?" "Routine check," he muttered, patting me down with unnecessary force. Routine. That word made my stomach turn, because I knew what he meant. This wasn't about safety. This wasn't about upholding the law. This was about control. It was about a white officer seeing a black man in a nice car and assuming he had no right to it. I had spent years working in law enforcement, years dedicated to making sure the system was held accountable. And yet here I was, being treated like a criminal for no reason other than the color of my skin. The officer's hands moved roughly along my back, then down my sides. "You carrying any drugs, weapons?" I closed my eyes for a brief moment, willing myself to stay calm. Then, I turned my head slightly, looking at him over my shoulder. "Officer," I said, my voice level, "this is an illegal search." He scoffed. "Oh yeah? You a lawyer or something?" I turned fully now, standing tall, my eyes locking onto his. "No, I'm the head of internal affairs." The change in him was instant. His whole body stiffened. His eyes darted to my ID again, as if seeing it for the first time. He read my name, then read it again. James Carter, head of internal affairs. His lips parted slightly, his face losing color. His hands, which had been so firm and aggressive moments ago, twitched at his sides. "Ah," he stammered. I took a step closer, keeping my voice calm but firm. "Now, officer, I'd like to hear why you pulled me over." His mouth opened, but no words came out. The arrogance, the authority he had displayed just minutes ago had vanished. In its place was panic. I tilted my head slightly. "Well?" He swallowed hard. "It was just a routine stop," he mumbled. I let out a short, humorless laugh. "Routine?" I repeated. "Tell me, how often do your routine stops include illegal searches?" Silence. I could see it in his eyes. The moment he realized how badly he had screwed up, I took my ID back from his trembling hands. "This isn't just about me," I said, my voice steady. "It's about how you do your job. How many other black men have you done this to? How many times have you abused your power, knowing no one would hold you accountable?" He didn't answer. He couldn't. I nodded slowly, taking in his shame, his regret, his fear. "You'll be hearing from my office." With that, I turned, got back into my car, and drove off. I didn't look in the rearview mirror. I didn't need to. I already knew what I would see. A man standing there, frozen, processing the weight of what had just happened. And for the first time that day, I allowed myself a small smile. Because no badge gives you the right to treat people like they don't matter. Not today. Not ever. Hey everyone, if this story moved you, if it made you think, or if it reminded you why we need to keep having these conversations, please take a moment to like this video. It really helps spread awareness. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below. Have you ever witnessed or experienced something like this? Let's talk about it. And if you believe stories like this deserve to be told, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We're here to share real, powerful stories that need to be heard. Lastly, share this with your friends and family. The more people who see this, the more we can bring awareness and change. Thank you for watching and being part of this journey. Let's keep pushing forward, together.